Hello everyone, Pino and Apple here with Wednesday Season 2, we're starting with Season 2 Part 1 and then moving on to Part 2 because Netflix is frustrating. The last season of Wednesday was pretty good, an excellent cast, a good setting and mystery, and teased more. There is a lot that can be done with this world, and while I won't comment on Part 2 yet, Part 1 of Season 2 has left a lot to be desired. It's not bad, but at points it really feels like the cast is pulling all the weight. The last season ended with Wednesday out of the world's most boring love triangle, and having Enid close as her one true friend. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into Wednesday Season 2, Part 1, Episode 1. Bit of a mouthful. The first episode is titled Here We Woe Again. Great, back with the woe puns. It starts with a pretty effective cold open, Wednesday reprised by Jenna Ortega, supposedly in full control of her visions, and after a serial killer played by Haley Joel Osment. But mid-attack she gets a blowback from her psychic visions. Something that happens in this episode and then is mostly dropped in favour of having her visions out of the picture, and yeah, I can see that nerfing Wednesday's abilities after the big vision at the end of the episode is an effective way of heightening the stakes, much like everything promised for this season, but this part doesn't do any of them super effectively. From the danger of her vision's blowbacks to Enid's impending demise, all these things are set as focal points in the trailer, but I'm telling you now, at least for part 1, none of these aspects are used to their full potential for either drama or character exploration. What this opening immediately sets up, though, is what at least feels like a more prevalent comedic tone. Sure, there were a lot of funny moments in the first series, but these first 4 episodes did have me consistently chuckling, so even if a little bit of a letdown in character work, there are still plenty well done comedic moments. In this episode alone, from the TSA to Pugsley causing a massive car crash, Thing wrecks the serial killer's shit and we get this season's opening credits, and they really do well to keep the tone but adapt and heighten them from last season. Myself finding the visuals and use of colour more interesting from what I remember from last season. We get a look at the Addams home, and it's pretty bare bones. Nothing I feel contradicts the family, but we see very little and has nowhere near as much presence or character as other incarnations. But I do understand that this isn't the focus, and since the Addams are staying closer to Nevermore this time, the character and detail is put into their temporary home. The rest of the Addams return, Louise Guzman and Catherine Zeta-Jones once again knocking it out of the park as Gomez and Morticia, even if, personally, not able to hold a candle to Raul Julia. And Pugsley, one of the 2 clear victims of the 3-year wait, having shot up like a weed since last season. Just like last season, and I thought that a couple times in this first episode, we shift away from the Addams to set up the mystery, and instead of Tyler mauling someone, we have a private investigator played by James Payton, aka Frank Longbottom/Hitler, what a group of credits, taking photos of a rendezvousing couple in the woods, only to be attacked and had his eyes plucked out by possessed crows. The Addams arrive back at Nevermore and things have changed. Honestly, I do harp on about it, but a 3-year wait isn't too bad. I mean, I am an Attack on Titan and No Game No Life fan. But a consequence is that there are a lot of changes. Not bad on their own, but they do hurt the feeling of continuity between seasons. Such as the change in the school's courtyard, lack of town scenes, once again making me think that this show is carried by the actors, as their performances are where the best continuity lies. Wednesday finds herself on the back foot, hounded by fans after her heroic deeds last season, including Evie Templeton playing Agnes, who over these 4 episodes kind of fits in perfectly with this world, simultaneously creepy and off-putting, but also really endearing. Joy Sunday returns as Bianca, and without Xavier to drag her down, he is hoping her other plot threads get explored well. I like what they do with Bianca in this part, even if I have an issue or 2, but the focus on her story is appreciated, and the way it integrates other characters to give them more to do, like Ajax, is interesting too. But I kind of felt bad for Joy Sunday in the press. She was paired up with Jenna and Emma in interviews, as they really should be taking the role of the 3 protagonists this season. But she looked like she was third-wheeling the whole time, creating some great reaction images. Next, Wednesday meets Weem's replacement, Barry Dort, played by Steve Buscemi, somehow managing to blend his 2 sides of acting quite well, giving an approachable, if classically out-of-touch exterior, with a I could eat and do morally deplorable things to the corpse of a child kind of acting, like in Con Air. Wednesday makes it to the dorm, Enid returning, played again by Emma Myers. Enid immediately throwing her new wolf pack out as Wednesday arrives. And we're introduced to new character, Bruno, played by Noah Taylor. And unlike the Disney song, we do need to talk about Bruno, because Bruno isn't a real character. I'm sure Noah Taylor is trying with what they're giving him, but in these first 4 episodes, Bruno solely exists so that Enid has relationship drama, moving on from her fleeting crush on Ajax that was proven wouldn't stand the test of time in that well-blocked scene before she hugged Wednesday last season, and instead of exploring that with Ajax, she avoids him and moves straight on to Bruno, who, I'm trying to think of anything about him that makes him a character. He's a werewolf. I think he plays the guitar once, and he is a late bloomer like Enid, but that talk is had in like 2 lines of dialogue before they mac on each other. So if you still had respect for these writers and showrunners, Jesus, what the hell happened? Giving them the benefit of the doubt, Bruno might be the next Tyler, waiting for Wednesday to push Enid away and slide in. Perhaps he'll be the one that will cause Enid's impending doom. Or maybe he's just a cardboard cutout they forgot to imbue with personality. I'll put a counter up, and this scene is already 1 point in cardboard. The girls cutely exchange gifts, a novelty shirt and serial killer doll. My god, look at how proud she is of her gift. I love these two. Surely Wednesday won't push Enid away, and then Enid's subplot will once again just be about boys. Oh, shit. Enid is more outgoing this season, trying to reinvent herself, and considering her not wolfing out was commonly seen and understood as an allegory for queerness and its associated struggles, including conversion camps, lack of understanding parents, and in small moments, social ostracization. It's strange that Enid is just one of the pack now. Surely there should be some sort of self-exploration or journey set up where she finds who she is away from her now ability to shift defining her. It might happen in part 2, but not having anything like this here, her just suddenly one of the pack with little to no hang-ups, feels kind of odd. I think I'm hoping these characters were more complex than the show allows, as her drama with Ajax is mostly pushed aside in order to have her have moments with Wednesday in this episode, and then 1 or 2 moments with Bruno later on. Said character moments not giving us much, as they may as well be mute. Speaking of the Gorgon, Ajax turns up, but is spurned. Enid telling Wednesday about how her feelings have changed, but their talk is interrupted by another stalker note, and this clue is kind of odd. Spoiler, but the stalker will turn out to be Agnes. But in the scene that we see the flashback to, Agnes was siren-songed to piss off. So it's really weird writing to have her immediately turn around, break out of the siren song, go to the other side of the courtyard where she was heading, and then snap the pic. And here I thought the stalker Enid theory might have some merit, but nope, just strange writing. We're not even halfway into the episode and I'm halfway to looking for an alternative on AO3. Gomez is ecstatic Pugsley is in his old dorm, setting up a possible friendship between him and Eugene. Another victim of the time skip, and still dealing with the trauma from the hide. Eugene is a lot less enthusiastic this season, and I wasn't really all that interested with a lot of his scenes. Not only in Musa Mustafa's age growth looking a lot different, but he's a lot less of the enthusiastic nerdy type, and more of just a general downer, kind of making him more boring. But when he gets to shine comedically, I do enjoy his interactions with Pugsley, taking over from Wednesday being his Adam's friend, as him and Wednesday barely interact this first half of this season. Look, I enjoyed these 4 episodes a lot watching them, but coming back with a critical lens, I am enjoying them a lot less. This season is so much more enjoyable with your brain turned off. Wednesday is told that now, after the whole murder accusation thing, Xavier is not returning. And as there is no confirmation on the accusations of Percy Hines White, I don't really have an opinion there. But the show is better without having Xavier dragging everything down for Wednesday and Bianca. Just another example of the male characters in this show being bland or assholes. Think about it, on one side you have Enid, Wednesday, Bianca, and on the other, Xavier, Ajax, and Eugene. Which group of these characters do you think not only gets more screen time, but are infinitely more dynamic and interesting? The Adams are thinking of sticking around so Dort can get some money out of them for the school, and they're given Thornhill's old place to stay in, and my god, Morticia and Wednesday's reaction to the gaudy decorating is priceless.
Marilyn Thornhill lived here last year, but thanks to Wednesday, she is now enjoying much tighter quarters.
Who decorated this place?
A homicidal maniac.
No, I shouldn't cast aspersions, dear. Not all homicidal maniacs have such ghastly taste.
We get some hints about Ophelia Frump's place in the story, a seer like Wednesday, that something bad happened to, but on a walk after, Wednesday of course manages to come across the crime scene. She has a poke around, a short convo with the now Sheriff Santiago, and in the nearby forest, ex-Sheriff Galpin with a kick to the face. He's had a bit of a rough time after Tyler. He gets one or two good lines teeing up he's investigating something big, but that's about all we see of him. At Caliban Hall, we get a really neat Tim Burton-infused story scene about a boy that builds himself a mechanical heart and seemingly died in an out-of-control experiment, Pugsley enamored by the story. It's not gotten payoff yet, but it's a nice little cutaway. Bianca finally gets to start her arc, Dort shedding his personable mask and threatening Bianca, both with a weird Dutch angle and with cutting her scholarship, giving her the task to get Morticia to lure her mother's considerable wealth in by any means necessary. I thought that if something like this would happen, it would be paying off last season where Bianca's mum threatened her with the fact that she is seemingly under a false identity due to her trying to escape the cult. Am I making shit up when it comes to that? Because that feels like it would be a bigger threat than her scholarship. Even if schooling is expensive, one seems more troubling and legally dubious than the other. Enid and the pack build this little house for Thing, which I love, and much like last season we get a round robin of scenes to Wednesday's cello. Morticia worried Wednesday might fall victim to whatever fell Ophelia, Pugsley searching for the burial place of the boy with the mechanical heart, ex-sheriff drinking himself to sleep, Dort hating Weems, and the stalker plotting. Wednesday misses a note only to be jump-scared by the new music head Miss Capri, played by Billie Piper, the first of two female doctors in this season. She judges Wednesday criticizing her need for control, and the next day Dort introduces Morticia to Bianca, her settling on helping the school out. Xavier, of course, may be gone but can't leave well enough alone, sending Wednesday a warning about the birds and butthurt about Wednesday's destruction of the phone he gave her.
I tried texting, but I guess you lost the phone I gave you. You have a phone? I dropped it in the bath.
But the stalker has plans, taking Wednesday's novel and hiding it in the school's pyre. Wednesday goes crawling, meanwhile Enid is trapped in her boy drama, Ajax wanting a word, but Enid making clear Wednesday is her priority. But of course, Bruno interrupts, Enid fobbing them both off for Wednesday. The two boys looking at each other, a little like they're sizing each other up, but also a little like they're gonna kiss. At this rate, I think this show would be better off if everyone was gay. Also, that's a point for cardboard. Capri and the choir sing the school anthem, and I love Bianca constantly judging Ken for overperforming. It's hilarious, and I think he was doing a little bit of this last season. And with Davina nowhere in sight, it falls to Bianca to judge him, unfortunately making Davina and Yoko's absence obvious.
I will remember you.
Dort does Buscemi's classic "Hello, fellow youths" act, and Wednesday only just manages to make it out of the flames. And of course, pissed off, makes a speech, insults everyone there, and burns the portrait of her and the others' heroism up in smoke. Much to Bianca's enjoyment, and Enid's annoyance. Alright, calm down, Jesus. Out in the forest, Pugsley manages to trip into resurrecting the kid with the mechanical heart into a zombie. And as Wednesday is fleeing the pyre, she gets a vision of Enid's impending death, seizing with Enid and Morticia by her side. That sure is a great cliffhanger. I'm sure the next 3 episodes in this part will show how far Wednesday will go to protect Enid. And they do on the most basic level. There's little character shift. Wednesday starts pushing Enid away, which is good as an idea, but in execution there's little meaningful character drama. And so that they can give Enid screen time in episode 2 and 3, it's mostly her boy drama, which is made wholly uninteresting. Not only is Wednesday pushing Enid away, the narrative is. The comedy was great, the setting up of characters, new and old, was done pretty effectively, and the mystery of both the stalker and Enid's death are off to a great start, even if the next 3 episodes partly waste the sheer potential of these ideas. Next is The Devil You Woe. Wednesday wakes up scared for Enid, only to be confronted by Morticia, worried once again about Wednesday, wanting Wednesday to wait for a new spirit to guide her like Goody did. And I am a little peeved at how these episodes handle the fact Wednesday is trying to save Enid. There are moments here and there that show Wednesday's actions being to try and push Enid away or keep her safe, like I said before. But there are equally as many moments where it just feels like Wednesday being herself. Everyone from the fans to the merch makers knows the show is centered around Enid and Wednesday's dynamic, whether close friends or gay. So for the marketing to go so hard on Enid being Wednesday's motivation, I wish these 4 episodes pushed that point forward on Wednesday's actions being fueled by this, especially her now inability to get visions. It comes off as more of a Wednesday is mad she doesn't get what she wants than a this is bad, I need every resource I can to save Enid. Morticia makes some good points, but Wednesday books it out of there, going straight to the ex-sheriff's, only to find his corpse courtesy of the possessed birds, getting her caught by the cops again. To be fair, the sheriff does have evidence tying Wednesday to the deaths, so these suspicions don't seem so targeted as Galpin's were. But Gomez comes to the rescue with some good advice, delivering her back to Nevermore. Eugene finds Pugsley at the Hummer's shed, him having tied the zombie up like a pet, naming it Slurp, just to torture Wednesday and...
Not in a good way.
Enid starts the day off faking her death, this apparently being Prank Day, or as we'll see later, Pure Chaos Day. Galpin's eye had been dropped off by little Birdie, but I'm too distracted by how good Enid's new fit looks. Wednesday refuses to tell Enid anything, covering up with borderline flirting.
Then consider me your dark cloud.
Always.
But the stalker interrupts from Galpin's phone. We get a nice scene of the chaos, Eugene helping cheer Ajax up by torturing Bruno a bit, getting stoned in return,
Not in a good way.
and we get another teacher minor character in Christopher Lloyd's CGI head playing Professor Orloff, who can have real dodgy CGI in moments, and honestly, once or twice I couldn't tell what he was saying, but it is nice to have a previous Addams actor here. Wednesday is sure the one controlling the birds is an avian, one of them not being in the school for a decade, so no luck there. Meanwhile, Bianca is trying to shift her conversation with Morticia to trying to get her mother's funding. And while the scene is funny and charming, as Bianca has to try and navigate her eccentricities, I thought seeing them together that having another mother near her would add to Bianca's story in literally any way at all. Her moral quandary happens at the end of this episode, and then her motive shifts to her own mother. So it's really strange that they pair these two up and do nothing with them that couldn't have been done with other characters. Not even her rivalry with Wednesday, which was very clear in their reactions last season and through Xavier's bitching, isn't utilised. The writers and showrunners have these building blocks of an interesting story, and they just can't finish the Lego set. Wednesday decides to go see Tyler, stealing Enid's driving instructor and taking him on such a perilous ride, I'm surprised he didn't have a heart attack. It's fun, but Kerry Shale and the bit is just a tad too zany for me. Meanwhile, Thing is having an argument with Morticia. She takes Goody's book, but not before Thing criticizes them for treating him like staff. Even if Wednesday's rude to him, I guess she still at least includes him. Wednesday manages to get in, meeting the staff. Heather Matarazzo, another Scream alumni along with Jenna, playing the suspiciously nice Judy, and Tyler's lead Dr. Fairburn. Fairburn reveals Wednesday applied to see Tyler before Galpin's death, claiming she needs closure, and Fairburn revealing Thornhill is alive. And at least they used this to let her have a cameo. If they weren't bringing her back, keeping her alive would have felt silly, but to be honest, even if it's not a massive deal, having either of them in this season kinda irks me, especially as they always show Tyler fucking shirtless and gratuitously oiled up. As if any reasonable fan of this show is attracted to the character. I mean, Hunt Doohan, I can understand, but the psychopathic two-faced manipulator, ew.
I don't want her and Tyler to be together.
And Christina Ricci in the future looking like Chucky's non-binary kid. Tyler spouts off generic villain dialogue, but as he clearly knows nothing, she's ready to never see him again until he threatens Enid, causing her to verbally destroy him.
She saw the real you, an expendable nobody. A feeble-minded schoolyard bully with nothing to offer to the world except for subpar barista skills. Your fleeting moment of notoriety will fade quicker than your generic looks.
Back at Nevermore, Slurp escapes and Enid may be about to kiss Bruno, him barely getting to speak in this scene, but Thing is drinking himself to death, because everyone but Fester forgot his birthday. Aww. But before Enid can do anything, Thing is trapped and the wolves are kidnapped. Dort is still a gross piece of shit, and Wednesday gets investigating, the stalker giving her a deadline. Enid and Bruno waking tied up in one of the school's clock towers under threat of knives. Enid saying the gayest shit.
Why are you friends with her?
Because even though Wednesday is literally the tunnel at the end of my light, I can't imagine my life without her in it.
But then macking on Bruno the second they have something in common. You go, girl? I say that, but I'm not sure if I'm urging her to do what she wants or to get out of the fucking closet. Wednesday gets interrupted by Capri, but eventually, through some secret passages and an elevator, solves the puzzle to save Enid, Bruno, and then Thing. In a puzzle that is pretty clever and gets some funny bits in.
Babysitter's Club.
Oh, how many are that one?
131.
Damn it, that's all of them. Unless you're counting the graphic novels and movie novels.
Enough, Enid.
Agnes is properly introduced as the Stalker, congratulating Wednesday on solving her puzzle for Prank Day, her having used her invisibility to get around unnoticed. And while I'm not sure where her character is going, maybe she and Bruno are teaming up to separate the girls or something, but for these episodes, I love Agnes. Her creepy qualities are off-putting, but she's also really endearing, and has great screen presence, plus all her one-liners, devoted or taunting, all work. Agnes is a super fan, immediately pissing off Enid every time she tries to get closer to Wednesday.
Room for one more?
Wannabes take the stairs.
Bruno stops Enid attacking Agnes, and this will not be the last time he does it in this exact way, giving Agnes weird eyes. Point for serial killer. As Agnes admits, keeping Enid alone with Bruno was part of the plan. Back with Bianca, she siren songs Morticia, and at least for the next 2 episodes, this has very little consequence, character or otherwise. As said before, the focus shifts to Bianca's mum, and I just kind of feel like it shouldn't be so easy to get one over on an Addams. Sure, they don't have as much archaic random abilities like they seem to have in other interpretations, but with the gravitas built around them, there feels like there should be a little plot armor here. But I guess the writers really just wanted to get this plot beat out of the way, so didn't want to make it with any complexity. We had a nice little scene with Wednesday apologizing to Thing about his birthday, giving him a gift, but she finds the book taken by Morticia and the bird watching. The episode ending with Slurp getting rid of the driving instructor. So episode 2 was still fairly good, but Bruno remains cardboard, Bianca's story, while compelling, will become a mess. Agnes being revealed as the Stalker this early feels like a waste, so that's why I'm thinking there'll be a heel turn twist later on with Bruno, but Enid and Wednesday were pretty good. The mystery side, like that scene with Tyler, was interesting, but conversely, what they're doing with Slurp is uninteresting. All Eugene does is complain, and it doesn't feel like we should have actual stakes in this plot beyond Pugsley wanting a pet. But even that isn't handled that well, so the episode ignores Pugsley and Slurp for the most part, giving them the bare minimum of scenes, most of them not together, and I don't remember Pugsley even being present in the second half of the episode. I'm excited for the next 2 episodes, but much like here, I'm just feeling like they'll be fine, and not as amazing as I hyped them up to be for myself. We start Call of the Woe with the Addams treating Thing for his birthday. The family are ashamed of missing the event, showing a nice sense of family that this show often muddies. Morticia confirms she contacted her mother, and as the couple dance, Wednesday takes the chance to sneak in for Goody's book, only for Morticia to have anticipated her. Wednesday tries to convince Morticia to give her the book back, but even talking about Enid's death doesn't sway her. Morticia making the good point that the visions are up to interpretation, something this show is never good at communicating, since Wednesday's visions have an almost clear success rate. And her vision was quite explicit in showing Enid's grave and her ghost literally screaming it's Wednesday's fault. If you wanted room for doubt, there would have been a million better ways to frame her visions. Morticia once again teases Ophelia's dwindled condition, and the next day the school is getting ready for a camping trip. Enid freaks out about her outfits and her boyfriends, Wednesday getting her out of the way by implying Davina has Enid's missing clothing, that had in fact been taken by Agnes, who, thanks to hiding, already knows of Enid's possible death. That's not concerning at all, but also fuck you for mentioning Davina when you threw her and Yoko out.
How dare you stand where he stood?
Slurp is starting to regrow, and Wednesday is fairly sick of Agnes, going to Galpin's funeral, and our only look in town this part, joined by Santiago and Fairburn, watched by the Avian. Fairburn claiming no avians are at Willow Hill, which will kind of seem not only like a lie on the doctor's side, but the patient's side as well. But I'll be honest, even with Judy talking about Fairburn next episode in her villain monologue, I'm still not sure if she was part of the villainous plot or not. We get to see Bianca's backstory now, as she uses her powers to meet her mother at an inn. Hey, remember last season when she was all sensitive and had trauma about using her powers, only really doing so at the end when the student body was in danger? I mischaracterized characterization like that. Wow, I'm not sure if it's the online discourse or just the day I'm writing this, but I'm being far more critical right now. Bianca's mum has run away from her cult, the leader having escaped and Bianca's mum taking a full 180 between seasons, going from leveraging against Bianca to force her to use her song for the cult, to being all hurt and needing Bianca's help to stay safe. Just like the Ajax plot, these storylines would be at least twice as compelling if we got to see the evolution instead of it happening off screen. Also, after some googling, I can't find the name of the actor portraying Gideon here, so with his anti-siren watch, is Dort going to be Gideon with some plastic surgery or some shit? Both are older men who use sirens to get cash. It'd be a hell of a coincidence if unrelated. Wednesday is stumped, so decides to use Agnes and her shapeshifter friend to unlock Galpin's phone, finding the location of the investigator's information fairly easily, and realizes to get to Galpin's cabin she'll need to go camping. Enid is psyched, making sure to get diabetes in a cup for the road, but is confronted by her boys, once again ditching them for a woman. First Capri, since the camp is on the full moon, and then Wednesday, getting all jealous over Agnes again, who is assisting full-time now that Wednesday is keeping a distance from Enid. And sure, Agnes is legitimately crazy, but the moments where Agnes disciplines herself for disappointing Wednesday are actually sadly endearing. Sure, I'm hoping Bruno is evil so he has something worthwhile to add, but now I kinda want Agnes to just be a weirdo so she'll stick around for next season. We go through a mind-numbing driving montage arriving at camp. Wednesday suspicious of the way Pugsley is smuggling Slurp in. Once again, not even talking to Eugene. Did they interact at all this season? You know, the character she felt such guilt for and was kind of like a substitute little brother figure. The Adams arrive at the camp to help out, and not gonna lie, Morticia with braids like Wednesday's makes me uncomfortable. Eugene is pissed Pugsley brought Slurp, and they do the whole awkwardly keeping a secret bit when Gomez comes around. Although I feel like Gomez wouldn't care much as long as Pugsley house trains the zombie. Dort tries to inspire the students, but they're interrupted by a scout regiment, led by Anthony Michael Hall as Ron Kruger, who is not only a horror reference in name, but is also Tommy from Halloween Kills. Turns out the camp is double booked, but Wednesday is quickly sick of the normies challenging them to a fight. The challenge is basically a capture the flag. Each school's team splits in two, one hunting the other's egg, and one saving their own, needing to rescue their egg and get it to the top of the lookout to win. The remaining Nightshades, because I guess if they still exist as pointed out by this episode, I guess Davina and Yoko stayed at the school. Yeah, I'm gonna keep complaining about this, they brought it up. Ajax tries to spurn Bruno, but is vetoed by an awkward silence. The Scouts are good as one-off comedic villains, but largely aren't three-dimensional enough to last, so they're used fairly well by the show, not overstaying their welcome, but also the perfect class to beef with the Nevermore students. The Scouts manage to get their hands on weaponry to negate outcast powers, and Ajax and Kent are left as defenders, being taken out in one of the stupidest ways possible. Newsflash, if you don't want to lock eyes with someone, don't turn around and reach at them. Their egg is taken thanks to team effort, Enid and Bruno looking ridiculous, and an obvious needle drop of Ride of the Valkyries. The normies almost win, but thanks to a zipline, Wednesday wins the day. Also, just an editing room criticism, why do we take the time to see Agnes tell her shapeshifter buddy, "Come on, let's go," only for them to take like 3 paces forward? Wednesday heads off, Dort thanking her but unable to get her to participate further, so she heads off into the dark accompanied by Billy's rendition of Bad Moon Rising, underscored with Ajax's suffering. Seriously girl, let him down already. Wednesday finds clippings of dead Outcast articles, all connected to the name Lois, and all of the names are Willow Hill patients. Dort makes things awkward between Bianca and Morticia, and Ajax finally properly confronts Enid, Bruno just walking away without a word. Seriously? Sure, this arc makes me like Ajax a lot more, as I basically had no feelings on him last season, but instead of Enid being torn between boys, she's just been avoiding Ajax, leaving him in limbo. Sure, both bad things to do, but this being the ultimately worse one. At least she comes clean in the moment, telling him she's changed, and with really mid-dialogue tells him she's moving on. Not only is this storyline poorly paced with dodgy dialogue, but it invalidates the queer coding of Enid's storyline, makes her come off worse than she should be by, instead of making her have issues that we see her go through and see her relationship with Ajax maybe turning down, having actual palpable tension between her Ajax and Bruno. At the very minimum, as basic as the love triangle in last season was. and Enid basically ends up showing Bruno off in front of him, but it's all done in service of trying to give Enid a story that doesn't amount to anything more than boy drama done worse than Wednesday's last season. At this rate, Enid should have been mostly written out of the first half, and Ajax given a prominent plot. At least it would feel new and not like a lazy and very poorly done reheated leftover from last season to give Enid a feeling of character growth while barely changing. Her main changes in character being she keeps telling us she's changed, and her hair dye. Ajax ends up feeling like the only one of this love triangle with substance thanks to how the show pushes Enid away. Only able to interact with Wednesday these 2 episodes to show a little bit of fluff or relationship straining.
You remember that day in your eyes heap? I guess squirrels and rats can't work out after all.
At least that callback is nice.
I kinda feel bad for that Gorkin.
No way, don't make me agree with these idiots. Wednesday breaks into Morticia's room again, challenging her to a duel for the book. Meanwhile, Slurp escapes thanks to the Scoutmaster, who gets chomped on. Agnes helping with their mess while Wednesday is occupied. Gomez getting a nice comedic, if pretty gross scene with Slurp before Pugsley blows him out of the building for him to escape and wreak havoc. Meanwhile, Morticia and Wednesday's duel is pretty well done, but ends with Morticia winning, Wednesday getting the last swipe by saving Morticia from Slurp, as a classical rendition of Losing My Religion plays, and Slurp is wheeled off to Willow Hill at the same time another patient is transferred, Thornhill. Now, in this scene, Judy seems subservient to Fairburn, so is Judy evil and Fairburn in the dark? It seems that way, but I think a couple of posts online have gaslit me into confusion on this point. A fairly good episode overall, great action comedy, and moves the plot along, but as you could tell with how miserable I was in parts, shows off blatantly some of this season's ineptitudes. Unable to give Enid a better story when they need her separated, Slurp scenes feeling disjointed and interrupting, Bruno, once again, having like 2 lines. Lastly for part 1 is episode 4, If These Woes Could Talk. We pick up where we left off with Fairburn negotiating with Thornhill, attempting to use her to help progress with Tyler along.
I've read your book.
I read your book!
Thornhill's wishes are to stay at Willow Hill and meet Tyler, but all she gets is a face-to-face with some very obvious overacting, but Tyler isn't as receptive to Thornhill as anyone hoped, almost killing the groomer. Back with Wednesday, she searches the remains of those publicised dead outcasts from last episode, helped by her graveyard tycoon Grandmama Frump, played by the second female Doctor actor in this show, Joanna Lumley, giving her a smile much like she did Fester last season. The Avian is watching their talk, and Wednesday finds that the remains are humanless, and although Wednesday tries, she is unable to chase down the Avian before they escape the scene. Wednesday finds Enid with Bruno with an understandable reaction.
The sooner I get answers, the sooner I can save Enid.
Wednesday!
Who I currently want to murder.
Finding Agnes watching the makeout sesh like the little freak she is. Bruno once again stopping Enid mid-attacking and locking eyes with the Vanisher. Yeah, another suspicion point right there. Love that the only way I've gotten any measure with Bruno is by making a fucking game out of his plainness. Wednesday gets a letter from a terrified publisher with great delivery from Jenna.
We all love Viper, da 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 da. You're incredibly difficult to work with, blah blah blah, da 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 da. Regrettably, I must drop you as a writer. Please seek help.
And eating it into the asylum, she gets Fester on board, reprised by Fred Armisen, confirming Aunt Ophelia was in Willow Hill, another piece of the puzzle. Fester is like last season. Most of his antics are funny, but I can easily see his energy and tone being too much for a lot of people. A few jokes from each of his appearances getting like this for me. Fester goes all out, to the inn Bianca's mother is staying in, and makes as much chaos as he can until he's committed. But this also gets Bianca's mum put in custody, and why is she so targeted by this one scrawny cop? Is he a racist? She's just sitting there and he's ready to punch lead through her skull. In order to get revenge on Morticia for the book after she tells Wednesday about Ophelia's tears driving her insane, Wednesday brings Grandmama along and has her give Wednesday the cemetery from before to continue her investigation. Wednesday going overboard on her smile in what I'm convinced is clearly an effort to get under Morticia's skin. Grandmama Frump, with her parenting failures obvious, tries to lecture Morticia, offering donations for Goody's book, only causing Morticia to toss it into the fire, which is a badass move. Bianca is freaking out, needing to get out of school to save her mother from the cops, Ajax stoning all off in return for helping her. Fester gets some more comedic scenes in the asylum and falling in love with a strange lunch lady. It goes on a little too long, but is humorous. Act Agnes finds a connection in Augustus Stoneheart, working at Willow Hill and Nevermore, now a patient. Bruno has one line, and I'm fairly sure won't appear for the rest of the episode, and yeah, he's urging Enid to talk with Wednesday, but that could just be a part of his dastardly plan. Either way, I find it funny that even when Bruno gets lines, most of his relationship with Enid is defined either by avoiding Ajax or her relationship with Wednesday. Enid confronts Wednesday, both of their jealousies interesting to watch, but man, this would all work better if Enid's arc these 3 episodes wasn't so shallow. Wednesday and Enid are attacked by the Avian. Wednesday too caught up in protecting Enid that they go after Thing. Dort actually helps by shooting fireballs, kinda cool. And while Wednesday and Morticia don't do shit, that's kind of annoying, Enid jumps to save Thing. Like, seriously? What was Wednesday doing? If she was stopping Enid from taking action, scared of her safety, only for Enid to break free dramatically and save Thing, that'd be cool. Morticia moving like at least one step before Wednesday runs off to chase the Avian would also be cool. Why the fuck are they standing there drooling? Wednesday chases the Avian through the hidden tunnels, much like the ones Agnes used, and she ends up interrupting Capri and Fairburn. Fairburn a little off, and Capri strangely out of breath and distracted. What the fuck were they doing in this room before the goth turned up? Bianca mind whammies the cops to let her mother go, and Morticia once again tells Wednesday to back off. But like, Morticia is just bitching and whining now. She has no idea if Wednesday is really gonna fuck shit up. First it was the visions that would make Wednesday do the wrong thing, now it's going after someone who attacked their family member. Thing is the wrong thing to do. Kinda getting why Wednesday feels so stuck in her mother's shadow. Grandmama Front was too absent, and Morticia's too overcorrecting. And I don't think has even interacted with Pugsley past the first episode. You have 2 children, woman! Thing sends Fester after Stonehurst, finding him in a big bird cage, kinda communicating through a bird. So, he's an avian? Or is this bird just really opinionated? Wait, Orloff calls him a normie, and Judy said that he wanted to be a Da Vinci. What's the deal with the bird? I mean, they liked birds, so he built his daughter an aviary in a tower. I'm assuming one of the towers in Nevermore. But what's that got to do with this parrot that knows all of his secrets? He's seemingly mute, so how did the parrot learn the secrets? Ajax and Bianca sneak her mother through some ruins, looking to hide her in an old room. Just so happening to go past the headmaster's office through the tunnels, him having a nondescript yet still sketchy phone call. Fester passes Thornhill, so thanks to her, he gets caught before he can get to Lois, ending up locked in a room with Slurp. Thing reporting back using Fester's love as an informant. Wednesday using Agnes as a distraction to get in, and only including Enid as lookout after being guilted into doing so. And boy, the interaction in this scene just makes clear how underused Enid has been. Wednesday's reaction to her questioning their friendship, Agnes looking to Wednesday when Enid asks the question, depending on where her character goes, either looking for an in or a response to cater to. If only the rest of this plot was subtle enough for interpretation like this. Capri is playing in Willow Hill, doing a favour for her girlfriend, I suppose. Wednesday following along, as Agnes commits an act of toilet terrorism, thanks to an inept guard. Capri plays a beautiful rendition of Zombie for the Patients as Wednesday sneaks in and frees Fester, where the lyric Zombie would be sung played over us seeing Slurp. Kinda weird neither Adams questions a fucking zombie, but okay. Slurp allows Thornhill to escape, passing Wednesday, but the goth has bigger fish to fry, getting into the secret room as the alarm is triggered. It turns out Lois is a place, not a person, underneath Willow Hill, an experimental facility housing all the supposedly dead outcasts. Tyler being nearby why Galpin was so interested. Wednesday seems to be more gentle with one woman than the others, and they're confronted by the avian, Judy, Stonehurst's daughter, and look at that, another mystery where Wednesday is accusing everyone but the killer, thinking it's Fairburn. Next season, I'm just going to assume the identity of whoever the mystery foe is whoever Wednesday doesn't suspect. Judy claims she hired Fairburn to be the public face. So once again, does Fairburn know about the unethical experiments, or is she under the impression Judy is her lackey? It's very confusing. Judy claims that the Lois experiment is to take outcast traits and turn normies. Judy wants a normie, now an avian. Stonehurst apparently wanting telekinesis and the backlash crippling him. Still doesn't really explain his bird, but go off, I guess. Fester attacks, draining the power from the asylum, freeing the experiments and setting them on Judy to assumedly try and rip her to pieces, but we do see her later, so maybe just escape. Now the Judy plot in itself, while I think it could have been revealed better and had better hints, I liked the outcome. And for how much I hate the part system, I have to admit this reveal doesn't work without the parts pacing-wise. It's cool to be able to tie up one mystery plot in this overstuffed season to give us a feel of closure, even when this season continuing is teased with a cliffhanger at the end. But I can't tell if that was by design, or if like Agnes's stalker reveal, it was just poorly timed. As once again, Agnes's reveal works, and I love having Agnes around, but it does feel like a cheap and nasty way to get the stalker plot out of the way as quickly as possible, so they could focus and then fail on focusing on Enid. As the stalker was the whole cliffhanger between seasons, it feels like there should have been more prominence there. Why I'm so hoping that Agnes and Bruno will have more twists down the line to justify how quickly they've been used in these episodes, or at least for one of them not really able to be used because they're not a character. Wednesday makes sure the woman she's interested in gets out personally, while Slurp eats more people including Fairburn, regenerating more, even able to say hello to Stonehurst before presumably eating him. Thornhill frees Tyler, only to be rewarded with death. Not too sad about that, and while Fester ends his romance plot in a pretty hilarious way, the episode ends with Tyler attacking Wednesday, the goth sending the mystery woman on her way as she confronts the Hyde, only for her to be tossed out of the window and severely injured. Can you believe people still ship Wednesday and Tyler? Like, sure, you can not like Wenclair, you can want Wednesday to stay single, but this guy's emotionally manipulated her, threatened to kill the people she cares about, let her be stabbed, thrown her out a second-story window, and you still think they should be banging? Get a grip.
No, seriously. Get a grip.
Also, why the hell did she just stand there? Sure, maybe she was buying time for the woman, but if that's the case, I would have liked to learn why she's doing that, or why she cares about this random woman. It needs to be better set up. So that was Wednesday, Season 2, Part 1, and yeah, I liked a lot of things. What little interactions between Wednesday and Enid were good. Agnes was great. I can see myself getting further into where they take Bianca and Ajax. But there is so much here that needs to be well paid off in the next part, or are going to be real black marks on this season. Bruno is useless. His lack of presence infuriating me from a writing standpoint, and the way the narrative is placed around Enid makes her seem like 100 times more of an asshole than she should. If her feelings within her love triangle were explored properly and with a through line from her literal queerness allegory of a character arc last season, most of her character drama is done off screen so the show can pull a Wednesday and push Enid away. Which is extra insulting since Enid and Wednesday's dynamic, whether close in a platonic soulmate or romantic context, is the backbone of the show. Remove either of these two actors or their chemistry and you lose what essence there is left, as it feels like it's slowly draining away, so I'm relying heavily on part 2 of this season to stick the landing and bring greatness to the table in order to justify the narrative, pacing, and character mishandling and mistakes made here. These brutal critiques coming because I want this show to excel. It has in the ratings, but it has a lot of potential the showrunners are refusing to explore, and fuck, I do not want them to touch an Addams Family movie. Do not let them. They've created 4 episodes that are simultaneously overstuffed and bland. I liked these episodes, they're good, I enjoyed watching them, but when I came back to analyze and dissect them, they're just carried by the sets and acting. Good, but far, far from great. Let's get into episodes 5 and 6, what is possibly the worst episode of the season, followed by the best. We start part 2 proper with Hide and Woe Seek, double punniness there. And Wednesday wakes up from a coma thanks to Tyler, only to be greeted with Weems. Yeah, sorry, even if I think she was a bitch last season, I like Gwendolyn Christie as much as the next guy, but that was fucking creepy. The reason for Weems coming back is a bit lazy, her being revealed as Wednesday's new spirit guide due to a very distant relation. But I think having Weems back, while not used to its full potential, is hype enough to justify a bit of narrative stumble. But I'm hoping her dynamic with Wednesday will either be more important or evolve their relationship next season. They recap part 1 and we get the explanation that Wednesday's powers are tied to her personality. It's a bit underdeveloped, but the gist is she'll get them back with as much character growth as the writers determine. Later on, her disagreement with Morticia is labelled as a possible hurdle, but even when they're here, the dynamics of the Addams family are repeatedly wasted in this part. Even if the charisma of the actors can block those moments from view. Addams family more like Addams acquaintances. I'd say since they live in the same house it'd be Adam's roommates, but you see the dynamic of Wednesday and Enid, and she sends a lot more love in that direction than with Morticia.
Queer.
Judy returns, just like Tyler, her appearance this episode mostly for setting up the big bad. Same with Tyler's entire role in the story, as while she tries to intimidate Wednesday, she doesn't do much else. The cops are looking for Fester, Tyler, and Slurp, but as we know, there are other crazies on the loose. Judy having sent a hitman to off the lowest patients, the woman Wednesday saved being the last. Even though he looks close to death, Tyler spends his time mocking Wednesday, Franco Osborne style, and holy cameo Batman, that annoying Pilgrim World worker is back to spread Day of the Dead cheer. Not very on brand, is it? Also, who the hell owns Pilgrim World now? The mayor is dead, and you can't tell me Lucas can run that shit. Wait, is that why he didn't come back this season? He's busy running Pilgrim World? We check in with Bianca and her mum, Ajax updating Bianca on Gideon's sightings, him being seen closer and closer to Nevermore. We get some good exposition about Morning Song, and Joy Sunday is mostly good this part, but honestly, there are moments of exposition I think are just too clunky for her to work with. But Georgie Farmer works off of her well. Like I've said, if Bianca's arcs are gonna be choppy and messy like in part 1, I kinda want Ajax to have his own focus arc in season 3. Give some of the actual interesting male characters spotlight instead of Tyler. Enid is happy to see Wednesday back, but confused when Wednesday keeps getting distracted by Weems. Wednesday tells her to book it, but they bicker more, Enid holding her ground.
I still have the scars from that fight.
Do you? Because I don't see those make-up facial scars Emma Myers apparently didn't want to wear. No shade to Emma. I get it, both leads require a fair amount of time in the makeup chair already, but come on, not even just some very faded colour and the vague shape of a claw mark on her cheek? Or hell, just cut the line that points out the fact that you didn't put the makeup on. Both girls have good points, and are both too headstrong for their own good. And another good interaction comes up as Dort tries to use Dia de los Muertos as a reason for another asinine event. Weems' disgust and rage with him is an excellent character moment, that for how central he is, it's odd they don't really play on Weems' feelings about him in the next 2 episodes, or at least episode 7. Pugsley is feeling down with Slurp's escape, but since Wednesday's been the center of attention, Gomez agrees to help Pugsley find him. Meanwhile, the hitman fucks up, getting got by Tyler, who is being tortured by a vision of his father. It's nice to have a little bit more of Jamie McShane, considering how quickly he got taken out, but let's talk about Tyler properly for a moment. Hunter Doohan does a pretty good job playing Tyler, and other characters like him, even if Muse was fairly wasted. And the future big bad of this season, connecting not only to the Adams, but to him, does use him as a good narrative device, building the next big bad off of one of the previous villains. But Tyler really doesn't do much past this episode, and when he does, it's either bad or contained in his own family. I know his character's left on a cliffhanger, but seriously, there's not much else to do with him. Only mentally ill people like the showrunners want the abusive relationship with Wednesday to continue. And like I said, removed from that, he's only interesting with his family, who all die. So I'll take a 1-episode cameo next season so the showrunners can have their episode where he's oiled, shirtless, and he can get his redemption arc off screen, since judging by this season they like to have their off-screen character arcs, and once the relationship between him and Wednesday is shut down for good, we have no reason to see him ever again. Let's give the actually popular characters, and the ones with protagonist potential, the spotlight. If the show needs a focus on a male main character, give it to Ajax. Once again, I didn't care about him last season, but this season shows he's got potential. Wednesday has broken into Capri's desk, her having connections to Hyde's, and since we don't see her wolf out, there's speculation about if she really is a werewolf. But let's just leave it as what it is, an undeveloped character arc. Her backstory is that she wolfed out and defended herself from her Hyde boyfriend, said Hyde killing his master, leaving him to degrade and die. And it's clear Wednesday's new plan is to hijack the connection and take over as Tyler's master. And for the love of God, don't romanticize this. Tyler wants to kill her and Enid, even if he does kinda want to bone her. It makes far more sense if Wednesday wants to keep him in a little cage and torture him for eternity, not bang him. He literally just injured her so hard she went comatose. And I hear arguments like, oh, the Adams hurt each other all the time. Yeah, it's consensual. Something that the showrunners and the Tyler shippers don't seem to grasp. But you know, what's new in Hollywood? Both Weems and Morticia are against the whole grooming of the Hyde.
It's the same feeling I used to have when Larissa Weems walked into the room.
Is it the clawing need to be liked, combined with the sickly scent of superiority?
Yes.
And my god, what direction were they going for? Why the hell does Emma Myers look so good here? Anyway, once again she abandons a boy to plan a way to save herself and Wednesday, with the help of Thing calling the Nightshades together that night, while Slurp and the Addams boys converge on Pilgrim World, with the woman from before hearing radio reports on Tyler's actions. Man, I know this show had good music taste, but Squirrel Nut Zippers colour me hyped. The boys get some decent humour with Arlene, and Agnes gets some grovelling in before telling Wednesday about the Nightshades. Wednesday, the Wolves, Bianca, Ajax, and Kent all teaming up to take Tyler down. And this is cool, but let's talk about Kent. Now, this show has already wasted the stunning face card of Joanna Diaz-Watson, her leaving the show with Naomi J. Ogawa, the only minor character of the Nightshades returning being Kent. And he's had one or two funny moments in part 1, but my god, he does fuck all here. And even though he's credited for the next 2 episodes, I'll have to be on the lookout through this review, because for the life of me, I cannot tell you where he exists in either of those episodes. Speaking of wasted character, I've forgotten the whole bit I had going with Bruno, because even though he at least gives Enid something to do, my offhand theories about why he was so underused may as well be Shakespearean or Orwellian in station, compared to what the writers actually give him to do. Wednesday cooks her hide control serum, and Tyler has a piss-easy way into Nevermore, as the cops looking for him rush over to Pilgrim World, Slurp having eaten his way through an attraction of people. He talks to Pugsley while the cops descend, Pugsley helping him escape as they have an actual conversation, and Gomez and Slurp clearly recognise each other as he slinks off. The mysterious woman visits Morticia, turning out to be Francois Galpin, not having died, but having been taken to Willow Hill, claiming Wednesday is her angel for saving her. The mothers teaming up to find Tyler, Francois pledging to take him away, and Tyler makes his move. While Dort distracts the rest of the student body, Enid leads Tyler into a trap, and the fight scene is abysmal. Wednesday sucks at sneaking, Kent and Bianca are limp noodles, Ajax and Bruno may as well be dead weight, and neither of the Sirens or Gorgons use their abilities. Enid just kind of falls over, and while Wednesday very clearly has an opening to capture Tyler preying on his emotions, Francois comes in, Wednesday falls over, and even though she was all, Wednesday is an angel, she straight up would have killed her if not for Morticia. This whole scene and everything that comes of it fucking sucks, and this episode pisses me off to no end. Wednesday very clearly would have succeeded. The only reason any of this would have gone wrong is that the Nightshades and Enid act mentally deficient. We only just met Francoise, and she immediately contradicts what part of her character has just been set up. Okay, calming breaths. Did you know that there's a petition to axe Goen Miller? Just saying, I totally haven't signed that already. The episode ends with the least interesting character round robin yet, ending with Slurp confronting Judy and Enid somehow wolfing out without the full moon. Later, we'll learn she can do this when under extreme stress. Was the hide that attacked her not scary enough? If these actors weren't so good, this episode would have made me consider dropping the show. I'm not even going to give this episode a summary. After that mess, we have possibly the best episode of the season, Woe Thyself, and oh, what the fresh hell is this? Yeah, this is certainly an opening. It's a testament to how well these characters are played that this opening brings out such uncomfortable feelings so easily. Now, the whole body swap thing is completely unoriginal, lazy, and quite honestly, it's one of my least favourite tropes. Not as far up there as lazy mind control, but I do actively avoid body swap movies, even if I know at some point I'll probably look at the Freaky Friday films and Family Switch on here. But the reason it works here is not only how opposite the characters are, but Emma and Jenna knowing each other and their characters so well is what makes this such a great episode. And while there are still failings, it proved to everyone, including most of the critics, that the show pretty much only works with the 2 female leads instead of the showrunners getting distracted by the oiled up married man. Enid and Wednesday bicker more, even if, once again, no matter how crappy the plan was, it was clearly going to work. And after they update Santiago and Dort, Wednesday follows Weems out.
I was hoping once Day of the Dead was over, you would just sashay back into the afterlife.
I don't sashay. ever.
Weems does some spirit guidance, Wednesday finally asking for help. Weems telling us and Wednesday what the writers need to hear. The Addams family should be the focus, nor the Addams acquaintances. Wednesday does her tried and true only way of getting any information, going around and asking people until she gets a lead, but at least now she doesn't have to go full repetition and go around accusing the wrong people repeatedly. We learn of the existence of the Da Vinci Ethan Knight, Francois' brother, and Wednesday realizes Ethan is Slurp, her bursting into Pugsley's dorm to get info. Eugene being right there, and her not saying one word to him. I'm pretty sure she talks to him next episode, so that makes 6 episodes with her not even saying one word to this character who was supposed to remind her of her little brother, and that she grew very close to. Because Wednesday Addams actually felt guilt when he got injured, and that's a pretty major step in her character last season. So to have her, I don't think, even mention him is a major misstep. We check in with the Galpins, Tyler now enslaved to another mother figure, and ooh, another abusive relationship. Not only do the writers seem to romanticize abuse, we can add being abused by mother figures along with oiled up and shirtless to their list of fetishes with Hunter Doohan. Capri kicks Bruno to the wayside in order to talk to Enid about the whole wolfing out randomly thing. Apparently, Enid is presenting as an alpha, making her destined to be lonely. Once again, not like everyone else. Her biggest fear set up last season. Now, there are 2 things that jump out to me as being very poorly done here. First off, Capri calls being a late bloomer and wolfing out under the blood moon classic alpha signs. If that was the case, why didn't we hear about it last season? Why didn't Enid's mother bring up that idea? It's just poor writing. And on top of that, it really muddies the metaphor. Last season, it was very clear with the whole I am who I am and conversion camps that Enid's wolfing out was an allegory for queerness. And what is it in this season? Well, it's arguably more of an allegory about puberty, your body changing in both the physical and social fears that come along with it. In isolation, in any other young adult show, that would be interesting. But the meaning taking such a left turn once again just feels like they had an idea but no way to execute it, leading these aspects of her character to feel underdeveloped, muddy, and with no direction. Wednesday refuses to do the same thing, so after getting the information from Grandmama Frump, she seeks out the grave of Rotwood, the original owner of the cottage, and Wednesday sneaks out to her grave looking for a cheat to get her power back. Enid's alpha already showing when she comes to drag her back.
I am not missing that gala. I will literally drag Wednesday back by her braids if I have to.
Lady Gaga is here, and for like 2 scenes, kind of a waste if you ask me, but apparently they were having budget issues by the end of the season. And at that rate, they just may as well have got a lesser known actress and given her at least 1 more scene of prominence. It's not a bad performance, but it's just very, hey look, we got Lady Gaga, and less of an actual character. Enid interrupts the ritual, causing the body swap in return. Once again, something she blames on Wednesday when both the last episode and this episode, Enid either ruins or contributes very little to Wednesday's seemingly working plans. They wake up in each other's bodies and, I have no notes. All of this rules. If I could, I'd just play it all here.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! Watching my body contort to your emotional outbursts is making me queasy.
Pretty much all of my complaints about the situation come from other characters, but these performances are perfect, especially considering how little prep time the showrunners gave them. There is also a lot of score being played backwards this episode, which is a really clever way to make the scenes feel even more uncomfortable. The 2 agree to keep the body swap to themselves, even though they're both hopeless at it. Agnes not realizing what's going on, even with Wednesday seemingly forgetting everything they talked about the day before. And as if Jenna playing Enid wasn't fun enough, Jenna playing Enid playing Wednesday is some really well done humor and depth in performance. Agnes seems legitimately concerned with Wednesday's mental state, and Wednesday is busy throwing Bruno around like she's Steven Seagal play fighting. Enid learns that Wednesday's colour allergy is very real and not snark, and we get a really well acted scene with her and Morticia. Now, the scene is fine as it is, but just fine, seriously. I know they're supposed to be estranged, but she doesn't notice something serious is up with her daughter. I wish there was just at least one line that maybe Morticia, in her strained relationship, is in denial, and seeing Wednesday smiling, instead of being rightfully concerned of the out-of-character behavior, is just happy that her daughter's happy. But the way she just kind of waves the behavior away with no justification put in there just makes her seem unattentive and stupid. Agnes is a 13-year-old, and even she knows something really concerning is happening. Wednesday learns that if they don't swap back, they die, and Slurp is hanging around the Galpins, finding Francois' bunker, which turns out to be right under the doghouse. Jesus Christ, that is a plot twist. Francois is actually hesitant to believe Ethan's return, but we get the confirmation as they reunite, and for these next 3 episodes, yeah, they ain't beating the incest allegations. Are we sure Tyler's a Galpin? Ethan has plans for an old machine, the one down in Lois that the Stonehurst stole. Ethan planning to save Francoise from her debilitating condition by removing her hide ability. Wednesday learns some info on the Alpha Front from a confused Capri and snoops around in the cabin, finding Rotwood's secret seance room. And other than Lady Gaga having a second appearance here, not being very useful. The main thing we learn is that Morticia is a smut writer. Okay, that could have been better, but we do get a moment or two of humour from this. And although not really focused on, Morticia seeming to like Wednesday writing her own books while she keeps hers hidden, having had Hester as a mother, is a nice detail in their non-existent reconciliation that gets teased multiple times but doesn't really happen. Enid is freaking out about dinner with the Addams and sneaks a peek at Wednesday's Wenclair fanfiction, and in revenge for her feeble characterization, she colours up and assaults the senses of the student body, humiliating Wednesday even though it never gets brought up again. And Enid learns her lesson when the colour allergy gets so bad she freaks out on the floor. Immediately after, Wednesday finds Bruno cheating on Enid and summarily breaks up with him. And although it happens directly after, it doesn't really seem to be in retaliation for Enid's display. It's very much just Wednesday doing the right thing by Enid. Enid revels in her performance going TikTok viral, and Agnes is more concerned than ever, telling Enid about the Bruno breakup and the death vision. But Agnes suggests Enid is the reason for Wednesday's supposed mental breakdown. And for this and the remaining episodes, Agnes is my favourite character, and out of all the characters, is the perfect mix of great writing and acting. Most other characters only getting excellent acting and average subpar writing, but Agnes's character is the most consistent and well-paced character arc in the season, finding support with Thing, Orloff and other appendages as their support group for body parts. It's just incredibly well done, and I can't help praising her, the writing, and Evie Templeton. Thing also gets exploration, and while his arc gets kinda wasted in the final episode, his is probably the second best written, and it spans the whole season. And I didn't see it becoming a major focus of the plot like it does. It can really sneak up on you. At dinner, Morticia finally realizes something is wrong, Weems having to show and exposit the plot. Morticia realizing the ticking clock and sending Enid to grab Wednesday and figure this shit out. But before she can, Isaac kills Orloff, right in front of Agnes, killing the one teacher that just made her feel seen. This man better get a gruesome death. Agnes follows the Knights/Galpins, trapped with Judy's corpse, tailing them to Lois, and the body-confused girls giving chase to save the Vanisher. The girls almost save Agnes with no consequence, but Tyler finds them, Wednesday kicking the shit out of him and wolfing out ready to tear him limb from limb. But Enid gets them out of there after Agnes fucks with the machinery, ruining the procedure and blowing the lab to hell, the Twisted family only just making it out. Agnes realizing the body swap and their continued friendship is really cute, and the other girls head back to the grave, complimenting and acknowledging each other's hardships, in a really well done moment. And the day is saved, but Weems ends the episode with some bad news. Enid is saved, but in her place an Addams must die. Now, if I remember correctly, Enid's death is the first premonition in this series to actually be subverted. As in Season 1, even with Morticia, Weems and Xavier going on and on about how visions are unpredictable, avoidable, etc, etc, all of Wednesday's visions come true, the same with Rowan's mother's vision. So this being the first vision to be avoided kinda sucks. Really, it should have come true, Enid dying, but then brought back with Pugsley's electricity. That plot beat already being set up with Ethan and how Fester saved Thing last season. And this lack of stakes with the Visions only gets worse in the final episode. The death and return of an Adams, just like I said with Enid, gets perfectly set up and shown to your face, but the show forgets about the Vision. What a poorly written and lazy end to an otherwise great episode. Here we have the highest and lowest point of the season, as while other episodes have a lot of good and a lot of bad, these two hype me up and piss me off the most. Only 2 more episodes until the end of the season. Let's hope these 2 major storylines get wrapped up at least semi-satisfactorily. Let's get into episode 7. Woe Me the Money starts with a fun flashback in a town called Morning Song. Where have we heard that before? And we get to see Dort's first meeting with Gideon, or in reality, Arnold Hunt, a failing actor who now meeting Dort and Gabrielle are dragged into his idea, a cult named after this very town. Arnold becoming the character and figurehead Gideon. From the start, very clearly in it for the money and fame, and back in the future just because he feels like it, I guess. Dort reveals he's known Gabrielle was in the school the whole time, now using her as a hostage. Bianca being his siren again. So, let's get this dog shit pacing clear, okay? Because this is the end of Bianca's arc, and I don't think she even appears in the next episode, so even though Wednesday helps her finish her arc in this episode, she doesn't do jack shit to return the favour. The first 2 episodes of the season make Bianca do bad things while being threatened by Dort, going so far as to siren Morticia. Nothing comes of this, not for the Adams or Bianca. The next 2 episodes are about Bianca's suddenly completely changed mother being hidden and introducing Ajax into the plot to give him something to do. And for the last 2 episodes, nothing progressed at all. That's terrible. Bianca's arc is all over the place and there's no depth at all. Sure, the story is interesting and this is a decent finale to it, but it's very clear they wanted to give Bianca a story, they spent 5 minutes of it, handed in the unfinished dot points and called it a day. After the credits, Orloff's body is finally found, Dort doing all he can to pave over it and get the gala up and running for the evening. With the trio finally grouped together, the gay couple and their adoptive daughter. All is right with the world as Wednesday and Enid have the closeness they should have had all season. And the bickering between Enid and Agnes is more comedic and less Enid about to assault a 13-year-old. Also, where exactly is Wednesday looking in this shot? There's no way these two are acting as straight as the showrunners want them to. Wednesday, now in her closeness and collaboration era, updates them about the premonition and has to get background on Isaac from her parents, the Da Vinci being Gomez's ex-bestie and roommate, and about how Stonehurst took advantage of his tech once he died. Wednesday jokingly offers Pugsley's life to fulfill the prophecy, and she talks with Morticia about their shared writing. Sure, I'd have liked their talk to go a bit deeper, but we do get a couple good bits of comedy.
Your father has no inkling, and that's the way I'd like to keep it.
My lips are sealed for my own protection. I began to profusely vomit after reading the first 5 pages.
Enid tells Bruno to piss off, him almost on his knees, begging for a second chance, while Capri gives the warning that Enid could permanently shift while she's going through alpha puberty if she wolfs out on the full moon, and that if she does, other werewolves will hunt her down. Why? Who knows? Honestly, I think the season would be far better if the premonition kept with Enid until the final episode. None of this alpha shit. Then next episode, she could die in the confrontation with the Knights, and Pugsley could bring her back. Then, instead of next season being about her wolf body drama, it could have been undead wolf body drama, which all things considered would probably be easier on the budget. The male villains measure dicks, Wednesday conveniently arriving at the Galpin house and bunker the second they go out to get Francois medicine. And Weems gives us some interesting backstory about her and Francois that is quickly stopped by Wednesday's sarcasm. I kinda wish that was explored, but whatever. Finally, Wednesday talks to Eugene. It only took 7 out of 8 episodes this season. This episode, and I think one conversation next episode, being the sum of their interactions. For Wednesday, and the character that dealt her first massive blow of sadness and guilt midway through last season. I hate these showrunners, man. We have a slurp detector in a corpse-seeking bug Wednesday found, and Ajax notices something is up when Bianca just kinda waves him off. Dort forcing her to siren Hester into donating her fortune to the school. Once again, like with Morticia, you'd think if Dort has an anti-siren charm, someone as world-wizened, business-focused, and having a self-professed history in tomb raiding would know not to walk into a business deal in a school full of outcasts without resistance to mind whammies.
Masterful presentation. My ego has never been more expertly stroked.
Tyler is forced to give blood to Francoise to get her back on her feet, and I get this is supposed to be building up the fraying of the knights to culminate in the battle lines next episode, but it's really just an excuse to get them away from the gala, boring us with cutting away to them every now and then, even though they could have just been absent from the episode bar the beginning and the cliffhanger, and little would have changed. Larissa and Morticia have a pretty good scene together talking about their relationship, and Hester trying to put a wedge between the mother and daughter. I kinda wish Weems got some proper emotional scenes like this last season, instead of just, constantly being a bitch. Enid is preparing her cage and bears all the info on her alpha puberty to Wednesday. Man, I'm really liking them having their communication now. Too bad it took 5 episodes of estrangement to get to this point. Ajax bursts in just as Wednesday is swearing her undying loyalty to Enid.
Would you come and find me? I have no problem hunting you down.
Will you just kiss her already, dude?
Wanting their help with Bianca, Wednesday confronting her the next day, seeing Hester mind-whammied for herself. That's right, these two rivals set up last season finally get a proper fleshed out one-on-one. Once again, 7 episodes in. Joy Sunday's final episode of the season. God, this show is really trying to be Stranger Things in the worst way possible. Bianca sirens Wednesday, but that move was predictable. Finally, someone with a brain cell. So Agnes had to be hanging around and updates Wednesday that all went well and good, but oh my god, Agnes has done this, which greatly offends Wednesday. And I'm sorry, if this was part 1, Agnes, I'd be disgusted, but she's just trying to show Wednesday how highly she regards her, and Wednesday makes her cry.
Heartless bitch.
Gideon's finally made it to Nevermore, and even though Bianca is his stepdaughter, kind of, he barely says a word to her before his mistakes pile up and Dort decides it'd all be easier with him out of the way, and Jesus. Yeah, that death rules. I especially love the little toss of what is clearly a fake skeleton into the fireplace. Also, I'm sure Bianca's reaction would make a great meme. The ball starts and it looks pretty good, nice new and reuse of a previous set, and all the outfits are pretty on point, especially Ajax and Dort's dinky pirate hats. Weems is fully dressed up for the 2 scenes she appears in, which is odd, and Wednesday finally gets Bianca on board. The shock of her dodging the siren song getting the siren on side. Enid is waiting for Bruno, but as soon as he turns up, the other woman is there, acting confused that he's with another girl. What the hell are the logistics here? So, Bruno most likely called it off with Sophia when he tried to get Enid back. Not doing so would have been dumb, meaning possibility 1, this girl came all the way from the Philippines to get him back, and her question is asking if it's him. Or she knows nothing about the cheating and wanted to surprise him. And lastly, the silliest, option 3, Bruno invited her and wanted to try and bounce between the 2 girls all evening without either one noticing, and honestly, I have no idea which one of these options they were going for. Enid takes the high road and brushes Bruno off, running into a weeping Agnes, and Enid finally realizes Agnes just wants friends. So much like Wednesday, she embraces Agnes's own eccentricities and tells her to stop trying to be like Wednesday. Pugsley is feeling down, leaving the grounds while followed by Isaac, and Ajax pulls his part of the plan off, saving Gabrielle so that Dort has no leverage. But, he can still cut Bianca's scholarship, and what kind of leverage was leaving Gabrielle alone unguarded anyway? Now that Agnes is herself, Wednesday finally shows her some respect. Agnes still willing to help along with the plan, but more secure in herself and her connection to the 2 girls. This is the kind of character arc writing I want for every character. Is it just twisted irony that whenever the writers try to focus on Tyler or make a mess of Bianca's arc, in a sort of alchemical law of equivalent exchange, Agnes and Wenclair get unintentionally fantastic moments? Now we have this season's dance with a Lady Gaga song, because of course after the virality of that happening last season, they knew to do it again. And not only do I love the dead dance as a bop, but everything else in the scene is really good too. The dance itself is well choreographed, and it certainly helps that Emma and Evie have background in dance. It serves the plot as Agnes takes Dort's anti-siren watch while he does his silly little dance, dance, and looking good, but a little confusing. The camera spends a lot of time with Bianca and Wednesday leering at each other. Okay, I kinda get the appeal of Wenclair now. And her waiting for Agnes to deliver the watch, it's just cut together oddly. But otherwise, with Thing getting to dance in the mix, the scene's golden. Now with the watch out of his hands, Bianca calls Dort on stage and forces him to tell all, with a really funny delivery. Also, Morticia's reactions to him are great.
It started when I ordered Bianca Barclay to siren Morticia Adams into asking her mother for a large donation.
Still kinda weird that there's no interaction between Morticia and Bianca after the whole focus on mothers and her key role in the plot, just another victim of the sloppily done morning song plot line. Dort holds Bianca at fire point, but Ajax stones him, and the chandelier Dort lit on fire comes down and shatters him. Oh my god, Ajax just killed a man. Well, it's at least manslaughter. Yay, Ajax finally had some agency instead of trying to get Bianca to open up or just straight up being cucked. Please, for the love of God, give him some prominence next season. Also, I love the cuts back to Wednesday as she revels in Dort's downfall. Bianca thanks Wednesday and Ajax with a really bad line.
I owe you one, Ajax. You really rocked his world.
Hester is trying real hard to get Wednesday to come home with her. Something she'll do next episode too, which seems real suspect. But Wednesday tells her to shove it thanks to how critical she's been of Gomez. Hester even using the line,
You're just going through a phase.
seriously? You writers just keep running headfirst into the queer allegory and pretending it's not there. The episode ends with everyone realizing Pugsley's gone and no one able to find him once Isaac chloroforms him. Such a weird relationship. A man technically as old as his parents preying on the boy with no friends. What is it with these writers and groomers slash predators? This is also a pretty good moment for Wednesday, as before she flippantly offered Pugsley his tribute, but now looks ready to kill for him. And sure, occasionally that's her baseline, but you get what I mean. So that was Woe Me the Money, a pretty solid episode. Sure, it suffers from Bianca's arc being a complete mess, but the gala was great, Agnes carries, and I was pretty entertained the whole way through. Most of my criticisms are that of the season itself, and mostly not that prevalent in the episode. Finally is the finale, This Means Woe. A fine ending, but with a lot of elements not used to their full potential. A full search for Pugsley is underway and the student body is evacuating. With no sign of Pugsley, Weems, the Addams women, and the crick in her neck, seriously what's up with that, need to pool their psychic resources to get a lead, enlisting Hester's help, having a seance in Rotwood's secret chamber. It's a rocky endeavour, Wednesday hesitant and Hester bitchy as ever, but eventually Wednesday gets a vision of Gomez and Morticia dumping Isaac's corpse under the skull tree, giving us more questions than answers. This leaves Morticia to tell the story of what happened. The past shown with the same monochrome filter from Isaac's story in episode 1. And much like the vision, we get to see the same actors return as young Morticia and Gomez, making me once again wonder if they want a spin-off, why not use these actors to do a prequel? Able to reuse many sets since it seems Morticia and Gomez were surrounded by more nefarious plots and murders than an Agatha Christie protagonist. Also, the obligatory comment on how attractive Gwen Jones is. It turns out Gomez used to have the same power as Pugsley and Fester, but lost it due to Isaac's betrayal, sticking him in as the power source of the Lois machine in his first attempts to remove the hide back in the tower before Stonehurst appropriated it. The grave that Gomez threw him in being the one he dug for Gomez. The only reason it went awry, Morticia sabotaging the experiment, blowing Isaac sky high. But should he succeed where he failed last time, it'll be Pugsley on the chopping block. The next day, everyone's leaving, Bruno off with Sophia, good riddance to bad rubbish, and Ajax and Enid having a little talk. It's really cool that they're back as friends, but it's definitely Enid who should have apologised to him. Sure, he was rude and off-putting to her a couple times, but she was two-timing him. This is victim blaming. Agnes has already got Enid a list of new boyfriends using her stalker powers for good, but Enid decides to swear off guy romance for a while. Isaac humiliates Pugsley in revenge for being kept like a pet, and after some Alabama-looking shenanigans with Francoise, they gear up for the battle. Seriously though, the way the siblings separate when Tyler comes back really feels like teenagers about to kiss getting walked in on. I hate it here. We get a bit of Agnes' backstory, coming from a broken home, her father clearly some kind of businessman, and mother preferring her normie family. Wow, Agnes really isn't beating the Wenclair daughter allegations. Wednesday gives her own version of comforting words, and Enid heads off to the Lupin cages, Wednesday swearing to meet her first thing in the morning, while Eugene gets got by Isaac. Santiago and the cops fall for Tyler's ploy, running over to another town, while Weems revels in Dort's downfall. Eugene delivering Isaac's message, the final battle to take place at the Skull Tree, due for midnight. Thing almost gives Isaac a bolt to the face when they meet, but Tyler delivers the hand to Isaac. Plot twist, Thing is Isaac's missing hand, explaining why the Da Vinci hasn't been using his abilities. And while this was set up with Thing's arc, it is a little odd that there were no hints at all from Isaac's side, because I can't recall a single moment where emphasis was put on his handless glove. Also, we get this dumbass graphic where we see the letters in Night rearranged to Thing. It's like the Sutek reveal without any of the tension. Isaac stitches Thing back onto himself, taking the poor appendage over, and here we have it, and Adam's dying, losing all sense of self. It's right here. But the show never acknowledges it as such, even though Thing's whole story is about how his past doesn't matter and he is his own Adams as he is. But the show never connects the two. They try to fake you out with Morticia falling over later, and then kinda just wave the vision off. But where Enid dying and being revived would have been a clear solution to her demise, that's pretty much exactly what happens to Thing. But the show, instead of making this the prominent resolution when they beat Isaac, seems to ignore what it's doing here, and like so many other times, once again, ignores the Adams in favour of shoving more Hyde drama down our throats. Hey guys, it's called Wednesday, a la the Addams Family, not Tyler Hyde in the City. Whether this show refuses to give us good material in moments or straight up ignores the good material it manages to make, it will always simultaneously entertain and enrage me. Isaac wants Wednesday out of the way, burying her alive, where her father would have been buried, and I've seen Wilders on Copium saying tons of shit about this scene, but face facts, Tyler barely cares about her being buried. Like, yeah, he looks like he has a little longing, but it's more like he wanted to do it himself than him not wanting it to happen. He still very much wants her and Enid dead. Agnes sees the burying after abandoning her dad for her new mums, so fetches Enid. The only option to save the goth being for her to wolf out and dig her out. Agnes not really making any effective headway, but she's trying her best, goddammit. Enid's wolf looks a lot better this season, and after they look into each other's eyes longingly and lovingly, Wednesday recognizing the massive sacrifice Enid made for her, Enid runs off into the wilderness, now destined to be hunted by her own kind. See what I mean about this show trying to get their straight love interests front and center, and then accidentally writing the gayest shit ever? Wednesday sends Agnes to track her, and joined by Morticia, Gomez getting the authorities, they storm into the lab where Francoise is elected to have Tyler's hide removed first, strapping him to the table and activating the machine, much to his rage. Because I guess the show really wants the ideas of Tyler and non-consent really just buddied up together, whether it's something happening to him or something he's doing to Wednesday. Before the process can finish, Morticia baits Francoise, and Wednesday frees Tyler, letting him go after Isaac so that she can save Pugsley. Now this moment I can't defend. While this is easily seen as Wednesday making a strategic decision so she can save Pugsley, with that stupid line at the end of the episode where she acts as if she isn't sure why she freed Tyler, this is definitely meant to be a moment setting up unresolved feelings. And all I have to say is that he was part of multiple plans to kill her, the first plan would have worked if not for a spirit intervening, has assaulted her more than once, one time landing her in a coma, and assaulted and threatened to kill multiple of the very small number of people that Wednesday cares about, including her little brother and Enid. This relationship is trash, and so are whichever writers trying to make it work. Tyler goes after his mother, Wednesday enjoying the fighting immensely.
It's your mommy. I haven't enjoyed a mother-son relationship like this since Psycho.
The Hydes battling it out over the school rooftops in a big CGI brawl. Ah, so you didn't have the budget for Pugsley using his lightning in a resurrection scene, as said in interviews, but you did for two of the lesser audience cared about characters to have a big brawl, where the thing I and many other people cared most about was securing the safety of the dorm window. Isaac's device is once again going to shit, blowing up in his face, just as Francoise dies upon a werewolf statue. Ironic. There's a fake out of Morticia's death once again, poorly done and wasting time, and the arc that they already set up. Speaking of that arc, Isaac, much like Morticia, obviously was still alive, and when trying to kill Wednesday, Thing comes back, using his fighting prowess we've seen before to beat the shit out of the Da Vinci in a really good beatdown, ripping his clockwork heart right from his chest. It's good, really, but there are so many minor changes that I've mentioned that could elevate it to great, especially having a scene where Wednesday welcomes Thing back like the rest of the family, as we know how much she cares as seen in last season. But really all we get is a poorly done 80-yard line. The next day they're all packed up, Thing throwing his night ring away and embracing his own identity. Tyler looks over his parents' graves and Capri for some reason asking him to go with her theorizing that getting a load of hides together would create a support system that negates the need for masters. Okay, that's kind of a clever idea to get Tyler out of the show, but last season no one had heard of a hide before, and now they're fucking everywhere. Capri's dad, her ex, Tyler, his mum, this pack, the one Fester met. I thought the whole point of Wednesday only being able to find them present in Nathaniel Faulkner's journal was that they were rare and dangerous. Pugsley and Eugene have a nice goodbye, and Weems goes off on spirit holiday now that Wednesday and Morticia are on better terms. Wednesday, joined by Thing and Fester, heading straight for the Canadian wilderness in search of Enid. And we get teased for the next season, Ophelia alive and stuck under Hester's mansion in a cell. Wanting Wednesday dead, communicated with blood all over the walls. And for some reason the Avian's bird appears again, which just has no meaning whatsoever. Why is that there? Judy and everyone involved with Lois, bar Tyler, is dead. Overall, the ending wasn't that bad, and once again, setting up a season where the premise is solely based on Wednesday and Enid makes me hopeful next season will be better off, instead of repeating this season's failures. I swear to God, if Enid or Wednesday get another love triangle, I'm going to stab someone. All the pieces, Isaac, Thing, the prophecy, they were there, but there was a much better way to arrange them that we just didn't manage. So that was Wednesday Season 2. There was a lot of good here. The acting was pretty much 10 out of 10, but where this show fails is the way it uses its characters and its story. Wednesday was a good lead, sure. I would have liked a bit more evolution from last season, as she basically repeats her talk to everyone one by one and accuse everyone remotely suspicious except for the actual perpetrator thing from last season. But apart from teasing she might still have feelings for Tyler, the rest of her characterization was pretty good. Enid was wasted for a lot of the season, but setting up her next season arc and how she was when the show actually treated her as a main character were really fun. Agnes, being the new tertiary character of the group, got the best arc, even if her role as the Stalker was wasted like expired milk. And if Evie doesn't return next season prominently, once again with her own character arc, maybe even given some plot prominence, it would be a massive waste. On the other hand, Thing, I think, needs to stay, but he probably doesn't need as much plot prominence next season, just being a good member of the sidecast. Joy Sunday was good as Bianca, but my God, was her plot mismanaged. Changing focus or not having any at all every couple of episodes. And very little interaction with the main character, who was set up to be her respected rival. A real waste. Tyler had good plot prominence, and it's not like there was a lack of good acting, but I really think he's run his course, as all he did this season was injure the main character and be the, or at least a major part of the introduction of 3 out of 4 of the main villains. Sure, give him a 1-episode cameo so that he can get the redemption it seems the writers really want him to have, but then just forget about him, please. He was a pretty good twist villain in Season 1, but you just can't make him interesting at the expense of the other characters who deserve the screen time. Ajax being one of the characters that needs it. He was kind of just there in Season 1, but here he got a taste of real agency. So I'm hoping along with Agnes next season, he'll have a lot more to do prominently in a plot line. The Addams family will need to come back, but I feel they were used pretty well this season, tying into the main plot well, and while barely interacting that there should have been more of, their connection to the Knights I thought was a great way to layer connections in the story. But more of a proper focus on them as a family to mirror the possibly incestuous abusive monsters that are the Knights would have been appreciated. I rated last season a 7.5 out of 10, and while there is a lot more here that I liked or was excited by, its failings make me feel that last season was the better one. as its plots and character arcs felt really solid and entwined. While here the plot lines were messy, some characters don't seem to play how they were intended, some of the things that make the show as great as it was, like Jenna and Emma, are intentionally pushed away for a majority of episodes, and sure, that makes the scenes where they're together in the last 3 episodes feel all the more stronger. It makes a lot of part 1 feel wasted, as we're supposed to care for Enid's life, and all we see her do is be jealous and cheat. So I guess I'll rate Wednesday Season 2 a 7 out of 10, only getting such a good score since everything but the writing was exemplary, but I really do feel the call of a 6 out of 10, especially thinking about episode 5. Thank you everybody for watching my reviews of Wednesday Season 2. Please like the video if you liked it, comment down below if you wish, consider subscribing to the channel, and if you do, ring the notification bell so you're told every single time that I make an upload. Write down in the comments what you think needs to be done in Season 3, and I will see you in the next review. Bye!
Toast. A little piece of toast. Because there's so much to choose from. There's brown bread, white bread, all sorts of wholemeal bread. It comes in funny packages with writing on the side.